Yeah. But yeah,
right. We're live. What's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us. Another episode of Hotbox. It's Sunday, of course. You can watch these shows live every week, Sundays. Hotboxpodcast.com/live. Check it out. Join us. There's a chat room there if you'd like. If not, podcast is always available on Stitcher and the website, of course, and now on Google Play. If you're a Google Play Music subscriber, if you use that service, they added podcasts to it. So we're in there, and you can listen right out of the app, which is pretty cool. And if it's not showing up yet, then you might not have the update. And once it's updated, you'll have that. So, all right, let's start the show.
On the seventh day, Shiva created the
Brain is founded by the heathen devil weed marijuana.
Go it.
The terrors of tripping on pop.
Be there! Scour the spaceways! Explore vast alien worlds!
This tin right here contains the whole rigmarole.
I used to smoke about an ounce of hash every day.
Go it.
And it made me go a little bonkers.
Maybe if I occupy his mind with more duties, I can control his space.
Hi, big fat doobies. Hi.
Hi, what's up, everybody? Today is Sunday, April 24, 2016. This is episode 177 of the Hotbox. My name's Matt, hotboxpodcast.com. Check it out. With me today, we got a special group of people, the whole panel from Starship 420. You can check that out at starship420.com. Starting from left to right, we have Matthew Coleman, we have Casey D, and Christy. Christy's in the middle. Casey's off to the side there, if you're watching live. Otherwise, you'll just hear a bunch of voices. But how's it going, everybody?
doing well.
Good.
Enjoying
Fantastic.
the weather down here. Down south, it's humid and muggy.
Yeah.
Where are you guys based out of?
Mississippi. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's an interesting place for a cannabis-related venture to be based on. Usually the people that want to come on the show, they're either from Colorado or Washington or, California or something.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. How did you guys come up with this? And if you want, you'll probably do a better job of explaining the preface than I will.
Oh yeah, totally.
That is all Casey.
Yeah, he's
his
the
creation.
creator.
Oh.
He's officially the creator.
Um,
you got it in, what was it, a class project, right?
Yeah, back in 2009, we did I had to do a college project showing different. I don't know if you can pull anything up from YouTube. You can look up Starship 420 on YouTube, and the actual class project's on there.
It was done in like 24 hours or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was pretty.
Oh,
That's
that's the website.
the website. It's going to be on
YouTube.
YouTube, definitely.
Yeah.
Or you
Okay.
can go to our Facebook
Yeah.
page. Even has.
We can put links to that stuff in the show notes. It doesn't really translate well to the audio. That's really cool that it
Yeah.
started.
Basically what happened was everybody who takes this class knows that the final project of the class at the end of the semester is a short film. So naturally, most people wait till the final 24 hours before it's actually due, before it's produced.
So we had 24 hours to come up with an idea for a short, and we made a bunch of little starships and did some CGI, and it was basically kind of a, how would you call it?
It was like Jay and Silent Bob meet Star Trek with a little bit of
yeah.
Cheech and Chong in space.
So
That's cool. So does the cannabis relation come in like were you guys smoking there allegedly? I mean, say as much as you're comfortable with. I know you're in a prohibition state still.
yeah. So, well, the premise is basically in the whole universe, there's only one place that can grow weed, and that's Earth. So any alien or anything if they want weed, has to come to Earth. So that was kind of the story. Was like basically some aliens were sneaking down, but there's a pharmaceutical company that doesn't want them to come to Earth.
They don't want marijuana found in the universe. They don't want it public at all.
Right.
And these couple of guys got busted with some contraband, and wackiness ensued.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Yeah. So, but that was the basic premise when it first started. It's kind of evolved a lot now because that was a few years ago. And for the past year, we've really been working on development for the story of Starship 420. And Quark, as they call it, Quantaceutical, the universal repository for, what is the rest of it? Pharmaceuticals. I've got it written somewhere. Yeah. For of alien pharmaceuticals.
Sure.
They were, yeah. What happened is they sent out this ship, Starship 420, as it's called, to scan planets to try and find cannabis. That was their true mission. The people on the ship thought they were just exploration, scientific exploration, finding medicines and stuff like that. But there was one crew that knew the truth.
Right, on the ship.
Yeah, on the ship. And once it was found, there was a kill code that was set to be sent out to the ship once they found traces of cannabinoids on the ship. And it starts killing off the crew from the most intelligent, the highest ranked, down.
And so basically what happens is they stop and prevent this from happening before it destroys Earth, because they have found marijuana on Earth. The reason why the quanticeutical doesn't want weed to be found is because there is a universal disease it's a mutated form of glaucoma that's turning aliens into zombies.
Oh shit.
And marijuana can actually cure this disease. So the pharmaceutical company doesn't want there to be a cure. So they're trying to destroy any possibility of there to be, weed anywhere.
Because no pharmaceutical ever wants to actually cure a disease, right? You make too much.
That's not profitable, is it?
Right. They have a planet that they house. Like if say your grandmother turns into one of these zombies, they have a planet that's like, it looks like doll houses, where they can house your
13 ghosts, like the house in 13 Ghosts kind of.
Yeah. And so they can house your zombie grandmother in one of these houses for a fee, so you don't have to put her down. So they can charge relatives forever, since zombies live forever. So they're making a huge profit on this virus, taking over the universe.
That is awfully nice of them to provide such a meaningful service. Now, I got a silly question. What happens when the people paying the rent on their zombie relatives die? Or are we just assume they will eventually just turn into zombies?
Yeah. There's some stuff in the story that plays into why it's like that.
Okay, cool. I don't want to like give anything away. I've read the comic pages that are up on the site, starship420.com. The 3, I think, is that I found. January, February, and March. Is that all that's up so far?
We have 2 more that just came out. We need to post them up. It's 4 and 5, which you can find on our Twitter page
and Facebook.
It just came out.
Yeah, and
we'll put links to all that stuff in the show notes too on boxpodcast.com. At the end of the episode, people can check it out.
Definitely.
Well, there's
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say there's a little more to the. It's not just that story. We have 3 different stories that all coincide.
Mm-hmm.
Which is one of the stories is the which we're titling The Unapologetic Adventures of Chloe Corona and Bubble Boy Jerry, and that's a part of the story. And then we also had the Cluster Flux era, which is everything that happened before.
Yeah.
I like it.
Cluster Flux.
Yeah.
That happened.
That's probably the era we're living in currently. Yeah.
Well, no, we're
post cluster flux.
We're post cluster flux.
The cluster flux was actually the most harmonious time in existence.
Okay.
It was a universe before ours, basically.
It sounded like what's going to happen if Trump gets elected. This whole
yeah. Well, no, that is the truth. That's a
a little bit too.
Yeah,
we have some characters that
we have some
deal with that.
We like parody. We like to social commentary.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But the story of Starship 420 that's in the magazine right now is following the adventures of Q, Shibaya, Zabinks,
and
Nash.
And basically, it's like if you imagine Star Trek, the red shirts, it's like they're the only ones left surviving on this massive ship that's orbiting Earth. They have no supplies. They have everything is shut down on the ship.
Limited access. Only,
right.
Q's the only one that has any kind of real access.
Right, because he was like.
Is that why that one is drawn all in color? I did notice one of them was wearing a red shirt.
Yeah, yes. And then Shibaya's a medical tech. That's why he's got the blue. Oh yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. The red shirt, and then he's wearing the blue because he's medical, medical.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And
and that's that's actually, you get to see the preview for one of our characters called Partybot.
Yeah, he's Killbot right now, and He's locked up. He was one of the things that were killing everybody on the ship.
Life Ender 9000.
I like it. It reminds me a little bit of Red Dwarf. It reminds me a little bit of Super Jail with the kill bot.
Exactly.
I like it. It's very cool. Were you guys like activists or involved in trying to get any like medical stuff passed? Because your storyline here seems
there is definite. I for one use medically. I use medically, and my doctors are aware of it. Is either this or take a bunch of medicine. Made me, as you can see, my hair's kind of spotty.
Mine too. It happens.
They had me on a lot of medication that really screwed me up. It was like 9 or 10 times a day I had to take a bunch of stuff. So marijuana kind of fixed that a lot better than trying to take all that medication and kind of be a zombie of myself. And
right.
I'm very much so a believer in that.
That definitely makes sense to what he was saying as far as like you don't want to cure this stuff, and if there's a plant out there that anyone can just grow and get access to, then like we got to get rid of that or figure out how to maximize our profits. We're seeing like the whole possible rescheduling thing happen, and a lot of people are worried that if that happens, that it will just be another pharmaceutical at that point, because like Schedule 2, then like Purdue can get involved in it, and it can kind of be clamped down and taken away from the people.
Be ultra regulated. Too
regulated.
Yeah.
Like myself personally, I'm in the I would if I could, but I can't, so I don't category.
Sure.
Because you have to be a responsible adult, and
And the state of
times,
Mississippi is unforgiving, even though we are decriminalized.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Somewhat.
Somewhat. And I think it's incredibly silly that our jail systems are full of people who are nonviolent offenders.
Yeah.
Who have done really insignificant crimes, yet are doing very hard time for these insignificant things that have hurt no one.
Yeah, that's pretty much the worst thing to come out of all of this, is just the damage it does to people's lives. Like in 3 states over, it's completely fine at this point for the most part, as long as you're abiding by their rules and their hoops to hop through. But
exactly,
like kids that get busted with it in college and stuff, like that ruins their whole life from that point on. It's hard to, once you're in the system, it's hard to get out of something like that.
It's on you forever,
Yeah. Your permanent record.
Part of our ability to do this here in the state is we are in a college town, which helps a lot. I mean, it seems like the further you get away from like the university towns in Mississippi, that's where you get more of the...
Yeah, the further away you are from civilization, the less civilized the people can be about it.
Yeah.
Makes sense, yeah. They like to get caught up in these little filter bubbles of
and we are in the heart of the Bible Belt.
Yeah.
And that devil's lettuce, man. That devil's lettuce.
I think that's what the burning bush was. Somebody said it might have been akasha, because when that burns, it releases DMT, and that would make you see God. So,
He did forget the tablets up. He had to make a second trip.
Yeah, that's true. And carry the bong and the tablets, guys. Forgot hands.
I can't carry it all. Damn it.
So are you guys going to turn this into like a show again? It seems like it started out as a movie and then went to a comic, and like what's its future hold?
Actually, we have
6
3
seasons in a
entire seasons completely mapped out, with more that just are evolving as we speak.
And we've got the first pilot roughly done, like the first pilot episode script roughly done. We need to fine tune it, touch it up, and edit it, but it's there. We've got audiobook stuff we're wanting to do as well.
3 novels in the work from the Clusterflux era.
Yeah.
So they've had it, in the works since what, 2007? 9. Yeah, 2009. So
that's really cool, because if you do audiobook stuff, you can utilize things like podcasts and release like certain chapters and kind of get your following built up that way, and then that will work hand in hand with the comics if you still do that, and then the video. That's cool. Finish them. I want to watch them.
We want to. We want it to be multimedia, really, like all interactive. We want, like a YouTube channel, like Q's Log. We've got a lot of different stuff we want to do.
We own there's a place called City Shack, which is a takeoff of like Circuit City Radio Shack, where one of our characters works.
Chloe Corona.
And
you'll meet her soon.
And she you know, she's the what is it?
She's
girl?
the ass manager. She's the
Yeah.
GERD assistant manager, but on her tag is the ass man.
Yeah, and
Dirt herd ass man.
Yeah.
For the GERD herders, which is basically Geek Nerd, and
Yeah.
but we actually have acquired the CityShack.co. We haven't built it up yet. We're going to build a website of that, and
Really bad IT service, essentially.
I like that. I used to do IT.
Oh, nice.
Not all of it was really bad, but some of it, you know.
That's what I do. My real job.
Nice.
Yeah.
but
Yeah, it's interesting. We have like how they communicate. Actually, it's kind of interesting. Where our next one is, I guess it's kind of a preview for our next comic. It's called Verbal Zine. It's software for your brain, pretty much.
Right. It's like imagine like you drop Visine into your eyes, and then you can actually the software allows you to interpret everybody's body language perfectly, so you can actually interpret their language. So these aliens can talk to each other, and they can actually understand humans when they come down to Earth, but they can't really. We can't understand them because it's not two-way. And some of the crew, if you've read the comic, Shibaya is kind of like the hard ass of the crew. You know, he's like the last surviving person that actually holds all the values of what officers were supposed to be. And like the rest of the crew are like, hey, we were janitors and, you know, all this stuff, you know. It's like
Basically, the people that have no business running a starship are running the starship.
Right.
I mean, that's who you would want left if.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you're gonna be at the end of the world, I mean, screw it, man. Have all the fun people to reach out.
We've got Willie. Can you the Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
You want to show them the last?
Yeah.
Can you look up our Facebook and
The most recent one? We've got someone called Oh Willie
yeah,
that they abducted.
who has introduced them to weed on the ship? He was one of the abductees that you know.
We'll let you figure out who.
Yeah,
We're parodying.
I mean, it's fun though,
but it kind of gives you an idea of which way we're going with this thing, and
but we're definitely pro cannabis, obviously, but and the
Yeah.
legalization, it's just
and
it's sad.
we would love to tie our characters into the what's the Initiative 48?
It was Initiative 48 here, ballot measure to try and legalize recreational cannabis use.
Which we actually got a good bit of support. It just didn't quite
It didn't
make
quite
it.
get enough. Yeah,
Not quite enough support.
should be
in our
toward the
state.
top. Yeah.
Yeah. Scan down.
It didn't get posted. I guess he didn't post it.
Yeah, I posted.
Did it?
Here, wait.
Did-
Nope.
Nope, that's the
That's the last
fourth one. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's the 3 and the 4. The 5 is on Twitter if you do have Twitter. I know it's hard for them to see, but
When this goes up tomorrow, it'll be up and we can direct people there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it has basically a Willie Nelson kind of figure
Yeah.
that they've abducted that's taught Q. Q's the one who first learned of what cannabis was on the ship, and Willie taught him how it was, like what it was and how it is, and he verbal zined Willie, so Willie will now forever understand.
Yeah.
Everything.
It sounds like you guys have a lot of like offshoots to do that stuff, and if you create content, you know that stuff takes a lot of time and resources and everything to put behind it.
Yeah.
Our issue is like, what can we say without creating big spoilers at this point?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
There are a lot of there's a ton of characters that will be introduced very very soon. Some Earthlings and some not.
Yeah.
And we have a bunch of writers on this too. It's
Yeah.
not just
Us.
There's
We're the core group. We've got one other guy, the guy watching Game of Thrones. But there's a
His loyalties.
we got to talk about Jamie Vita.
oh
who's
yeah,
our
Jamie
artist.
our
Awesome.
artist. He is fantastic. He does all the drawing for it,
Mhm.
which is he's a great dude. He does he does music. He does like 3 or 4 different comics too,
Mhm.
on top of drawing Starship
He
424.
does a crumb old 1950s mad style artwork. It's awesome.
If you go to starship420.com and click on bios, you can see some of what they're talking about there with the character drawings and everything. It's-
What's
He does.
interesting is this is really a collaborative effort between I don't know.
a good
A
group
good
of
bit,
10 people probably
least.
that
Well, in our
Drop it in
secret
and
group,
out.
we got 21.
yeah 21.
Yeah.
That includes the people like we're published in a local magazine called Dime. They distribute between three states.
16,000 issues a month.
Yeah, something like that.
Which is also
Like a culture type magazine.
Yeah, exactly. Counterculture magazine covers like indie bands from the region and nationally, and artists and festivals, that kind of stuff.
Which is also why some of our stuff we have to publish through them first, and then give it a certain amount of time, and then we put it on our website for everyone to see.
Yeah.
Are you guys? You have like voice actors and everything for the characters.
There's some, like, we can't say who some of them are, but we do actually have some people that have done some stuff, like some cartoons, for instance, and.
Well, I asked because it would be cool for like an audio podcast to interview some of the actual characters, like in character.
That
Something
would be awesome.
like that,
Yeah. We do have them, and we would love to, I'm sure we'd be able to set something up again, you know.
I'm a tech nerd, so I can build a little antenna that'll beam right up to that Starship, no problem.
We could actually have we could set up live from Starship 420, you know, something like that.
That would be
awesome.
The interesting thing is with our collaborative effort for the writers, it seems like everyone attaches to a certain character.
Sure.
And as each person attaches to the character, we just sort of, you have it, you run with it.
You develop the character.
You develop that
who they
character, and
are.
it becomes your own character.
That's an interesting way to do it, because that's going to translate to clicking with people that are reading it or watching it or listening to it, because we all relate to those characters. I mean, your other writer is in there right now relating to probably
exactly
characters.
Time is a flat circle, man. It all comes.
Exactly.
And a lot of times, as we're the great thing is we're creating this universe. It may be us sitting around in a room and we turn a camera on and we just start throwing ideas off of each other.
Yeah.
And it's just
Have a few like a few drinks and just sit around and BS and see what we can come up with. That's how we came up with half the stuff we have now.
Yeah.
Throw it, and if something sticks and we like it, we run with it. And it's just been it's been such a great group of people. We all get along very well. We've known each other for a long time, and our ideas, even if we say have a difference of opinion about certain things, it all really works out very smoothly in the end.
Yeah.
That's cool. It sounds like fun, and it doesn't seem like work when you're actually able to have fun doing that sort of stuff and being creative and everything.
There is work involved.
Yeah, it is. When you gotta actually type the stuff and organize it, the tedious stuff.
Deadlines, no matter how friendly you are.
Yeah, and those suck. Oh man. I do have to say, you're the only other Matt I've ever met that has the name spelled the same way as me, the 1 T.
Oh, really? I know one other one back in Montana.
Yeah, we're all over. We're all over. but yeah.
I was looking because it was recently 420, and I should say I hope everyone did have a safe and productive 420. I did see a headline somewhere saying that no matter how hard everyone tried, no one was able to overdose on weed over 420. So
there's always next year.
I know. We'll just have to try harder next year. But there was a lot of like weed related things that Mashable was posting. And one of them in particular I thought was kind of interesting. It was a look back between the years of 1936 and 1950. There was, most people just know Reefer Madness. And then there's like the posters and the media kind of campaign that went along with that back then. But there was, I guess, and I didn't even know this till I came across this article, that there was a whole like handful of other films that were in the same vein as Reefer Madness. Assassin of Youth was one. One was called Marijuana.
With an H, right?
Mm-hmm, of course.
Does it have a lady laying on it on the cover with a guy holding a... Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that is ridiculous. The
urban legends of the baby in the oven.
All that ridiculousness.
Yeah, it
propaganda, man.
Sense to me that like if it was your goal to like just demonize the shit out of something like as hard and as much as you possibly could, like they kind of hit on every emotion that people at that time were I guess pious about, like debauchery and degradation and insanity, and it's the truth a lot. Like this is the truth about it, you know, like
that's how they presented it, that this is what it is, and this is so far from the truth.
It makes sense now, like why we're having such a struggle to like undo all of the damage that this sort of stuff does. And it is a really good example of like kind of psyops things where if you just post a whole bunch of shit online about a certain topic, thinking a certain way or feeling a certain way about it, you will eventually get other people to
believe
feel that way. That's creepy. It's really creepy.
It's like social engineering.
Yeah, it's exactly that. Just by making websites
and putting it.
We're trying to reverse a little bit of that with our comics.
Yeah,
so, you know,
that's definitely one. That's our goal, was to bring it.
and that's what needs to happen. I mean, we saw it slowly with Cheech and Chong.
Yeah,
and like
or
now it's so
Silent Bob
TV shows and stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and you've got the YouTube channels that pop up all over the place. Vice does one. I can't remember what it is, but they. Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
That one is. I really enjoy that one. And it really opens your eyes to it, and it's even on mainstream TV now.
It's cool to watch somebody like Bill Maher, and I know not everyone's going to agree with everything he says. I don't, but it's great to watch him take one for the teams and smoke joints on TV and just be like, "Here's your fine money again. I'm going to keep doing this because it's stupid. It's stupid that you are making this such a big deal, making criminals out of people over it."
Yeah, and it's just dividing people. That's all it is. Is just pitting us to fight over unimportant details when there are much bigger issues to be fighting over. Yeah, I mean,
if you're watching live, you got to see a couple of these. I mean, they are just like right out of what you would think like Mary Tyler Moore's nightmares would be. Like that. Like it's all designed in that way, to the deadly scourge that drags our children into the quagmires of degradation. Like that's some Game of Thrones shit right there.
It is really like you think they'd be talking. That sounds like something. Oh, what is that group? That's in Game of Thrones right now. The Shane.
Oh yeah,
Shane with the Proctor. I don't know.
You know, this is interesting that you bring this imagery up, because a lot of this imagery is what we're using as far as how quantaceutical promotes itself to the universe as a
is exactly like that.
It's exactly
propaganda machine. Like that's basically what they are.
I'll take 1 syringe of misery and 3 cigarettes of both lust and hate, please.
I'll check marijuana.
Oh, you can. I've done 3 marijuanas before. Intravenous.
Marijuanas? Damn. Yeah.
I've wanted to snort crime before, though. I've never done it. I've wanted to.
What?
Crime. Crime.
Oh man,
the weed with roots in hell. That sounds like a fantastic horror movie.
Yeah, they're like, and in case we didn't reach all the demographics, we better throw in something about hell.
Right? Dope created ecstasy avalanching into frightful provisions. What? Perversions. Provisions.
Oh man.
And they almost showed nipples.
Yeah.
Almost, but not yet. They leave a little bit to the imagination.
The bow tie over the nipple. Yeah. Imagery.
I wonder who the actual, like, who the artist.
Oh, wait, you got a little bit of.
You got some slip.
Oh yeah, little
function there.
Assassins of youth.
It looks like it snapped her neck.
Marijuana.
It hit her so hard it snapped her neck.
I know. Look at her. I mean, that is, in her defense, that is a rather joint.
I've had that happen before.
Oh man, here's the idyllic party scene from Assassin of Youth.
That is
almost like the Brady Bunch's living room.
Yeah. If the Brady Bunch sold weed, like this is pretty much what you would have here. Marsha's over here passed out on the chair because she took too many oxys, but it's okay. Frank's watching her and making sure she doesn't throw up on herself. This guy
just you got the Adderall going.
Yeah. He's like, "Here, honey, drink this. It'll be okay."
Yeah, right. It's only a little bit of
This is what our parents' and their parents like were subjected to.
That's why they hate it.
Yeah. This is why we all got our asses beat and grounded when our parents found weed.
Right? Oh man. It's sad. That's why people hate people like us.
It is. And they shouldn't, because we're really cool people. I mean, we're some of the nicest people I know. Personally.
I've never met an angry person that was high.
I've never seen anybody get in a bar fight when they're high.
No,
definitely not. I've never seen someone drunk drive when they're high and actually like wreck some shit.
No. Oh, Kroger Bab.
How bad can a good girl get? She should have said no, but she didn't because she was on the marijuana.
Stay up or stay dumb.
They just, I mean, they hit it hard. With like,
look at that imagery right there. Look at the devil imagery on that. Smoking a J.
put yourself like in this time frame. If you were to create some materials like this, and you were using rape as your like
that would get so peak.
Not let that go.
Tumblr would have a shit fit with that.
Yeah, definitely. But here it's different time.
Rhymes with piranha, so it can't be good.
Yeah, right.
That's true.
I mean, that's the mental gymnastics that people have to do, I think, to really the rationale that it's bad for you. I mean, my family, most of them are staunchly against marijuana, but a couple of them know. My aunt, she's actually watching us live right now. She said she knows, but most of them they would probably be very angry if they knew, and it's sad because I've been around them really stoned before, and they've never noticed, and it's
But if you ask them why, like they almost have a hard time like explaining where it comes from. They just have this negative association because of all of this nonsense. And so some of them get really defensive about it because they don't know why. They're like, I just feel that way. Quit asking me questions.
They don't want to like, a lot of people don't want to think, I think. When I was like in high school, I had a shirt that said "Think it's not illegal yet." And I think that's very much indicative of the problem is people have been taught that, especially here in the Bible Belt, people are taught to hate any adulterant like that, and it's really giving people a bad rap, giving it a bad rap.
Yeah.
It's unnecessary. I mean, we've seen all of the positive that it does, and there's just a lot of people running around a lot of places with not very well primed endocannabinoid systems, and they're angry and they're stressed.
Yeah.
You see it, man. You're walking so stressfully.
Hits.
Yeah. I should mention real quick, we were talking last episode about what was going on in Montana, and we mentioned that there was going to be a third initiative come out. So the MTCIA, or the Montana Cannabis Industry Association, did release it. It's called I-182. So if you're in Montana still, I follow a lot of this because I'm still a Montana resident, even though I moved to Washington to work in the cannabis industry. Mm-hmm. So what happens in Montana is important to me because we have a house and stuff there that we would one day like to go back to. But yeah, so I-182, that's one for medical. Of course, we mentioned that the 2 recreational ones that are going around. So just sign all 3. I mean, one way or another, get these on the ballot so that people can once again, like they did in 2004, go out and vote and say, yes, this is what we want. So mtcia.org, you can find out more info about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What are you, yeah, go ahead.
It's good that you stay active still back in Montana. I think that's important. I plan to move in the next couple of years to Colorado, next hopefully 2 or so.
I have a brother in Seattle.
Yeah. So, but I'd want to stay active in Mississippi, being able to get its status of a legal state as well, if nothing less than medicinal. We did pass actually last year. The governor signed CBD oil bill so that kids with extreme epilepsy and issues like that can use the Charlotte's Web strain of CBD oil for treatment. So that is a step forward in the right direction, at least.
Yeah, definitely. And when I first moved here, I was kind of writing an article about having to like uproot and move to work in an industry of your choice. And I found a lot of other stories like that, but more so medically related. Not like, oh, I moved for a career, but like I moved because my kid is having seizures multiple times a day, and this is the only thing that helps. So it's really interesting to see that, this is something that people, they feel strongly enough about to uproot their whole family, kids and all, and move to a state that is more open and caring when it comes to this stuff.
Exactly. You said you work in cannabis industries. What do you do? Are you like a bud?
I work in a medical in Washington. We have medical for another like 3 months, but I've been here for the last year working in a refinement and extraction lab. So we basically make THC distillate, kind of like the clear. I don't know if you've heard of the clear, but
yeah.
Yeah, so we make that.
Oh, that's cool. That's really neat. That's freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. I do extractions all day and then run other machines.
Scientific as shit.
Yeah, it's a cool job for sure. It was like a once in a lifetime chance to go and work in a lab with this lady that I knew that was running it. Needed just a lab rat to basically wash dishes and just wash machines. So I moved.
Well, it
I
makes sense,
delivering
man.
water for beforehand, just like offices delivering water.
It seems like, hey, it paid off for you. Definitely.
Yeah. It's definitely awesome. I'm
Life
glad
experience.
and it's interesting to see that like this. I moved here and like the job I left, I didn't have health insurance. I mean, we had like vacation stuff like that, but none of the things you would kind of need to start a family or do anything like that. And here it is, like this weed business is basically giving me vacation and all health insurance and retirement and all of this stuff.
Amazing.
Wow.
That is amazing.
Yeah, it's
amazing. That's happening in this country, in one state, and you could get jailed for
Hard
life.
time.
Yeah.
And oh my God, that
Even
is
back in Montana. Like if we went home and tried to do what we're doing here, like you can't do it. They're not down with extracts.
I mean, I know people say, well, you don't know what the true effects would be on the economy, but you can look at Colorado and see. You can look at states that have it legalized. At the medical, I mean, it would boost this country up.
I would happily pay my taxes.
Yep.
And as if it were to become a legal taxable item, I will be a very, very happy taxpayer.
Yeah, a lot of people in Washington are. I mean, there was a lot of complaining at first, and yeah, it is a lot of money to just not be a criminal, I guess. But it is building the foundation of like this industry that's being able to support a lot of people.
I'd rather, I mean, you can fight for the whole loaf, but if you just take at least a part, at least you're not going to starve.
Yeah, exactly. And people are smoking weed regardless. So do you want the black market getting that money, or do you want to start putting that money towards schools and
roads and everything?
Yeah.
Or so
why are we sending billions of dollars to, say, Mexican drug trade?
Yeah.
When it could be spent here locally.
And that's in one state in a year. Colorado, what was it? 4 point something billion last year. Was it a little over $4 billion for Colorado in 2015?
Yeah, it's billions and billions, and it could be billions and billions more if they would allow each.
Mississippi is in a budget shortfall right now, and we're an agricultural state.
And not only that, but weren't we like the first state, like in the 70s, to do medical up in the Mississippi State?
Yeah. Mississippi State grows weed for the government, for the federal government. So and we export it. We export it.
Yeah, they had like 8 patients once upon a time. I know some of them have passed away since, but there are still a few living federal patients under the old NIDA thing that happened. So that's
in Florida, I think.
I've seen some of that weed, and it's not very good, but it's cool that it's the federal government.
Yeah.
Being complete hypocrites, saying on one hand it's not medical, and then right on the other, like giving it to people for medical.
And speaking of being an agricultural state, this is another that goes along with marijuana is, of course, hemp, which is also illegal.
Yeah.
And I think that possibly one of the reasons why there is such a block against hemp is it's very easy to grow. It does not require a lot of chemicals and pesticides and fertilizers to grow a healthy crop of it. So a large chemical company that shall remain nameless cannot get their fingers in the pot.
Quantaceutical.
The fingers in the DuPont, if you
you can't.
Yeah, there's a lot of pushback in not only the pharmaceutical, but like you're saying, in agriculture, in materials, all that.
And
textiles.
Yep.
If you look at, say, our cotton industry, which is huge in Mississippi, it's, I believe, last time I checked, 80% of the cotton grown here is one specific type by a specific company for its specific pesticide resistance.
Of course.
And so you would have, say, farmers switching away from that and going to a more ecologically friendly product. And which I said again, that the chemical companies can't get their fingers in because it's, not a big demand for it. So I wonder if maybe kind of lobbying, that's another reason why you're going to lose a lot of money in that product area.
Well, yeah, in cannabis industry, I mean, it's only as big as they're letting it be. So you're only going to have as much money as you can to divert to something like having a couple people go to Washington and start putting money where it should go,
Mm-hmm.
It's a waste. I think that's such a waste of money, but that's how politics works. So if you want to, abide in that game, you have to do that.
Yeah.
But there was a interesting article that we were talking about how that it can help each state and everything, but not just in income, but it's going to decrease, like you were saying earlier, the prison populations. And I think you can get to a point where you decrease them so much that
You can close
with a bunch of empty prisons eventually. There was this article coming out of Coalinga, and their city council recently voted on whether or not to allow a cannabis cultivation and extraction facility to set up in this prison. Basically, it's like an old prison, but their whole thing is like, well, and I don't know if you've ever, if you ever come to Washington and you tour like certain towns, you'll see these big like fences with barbed wire and cameras everywhere. It looks like some legit like barracks pretty much. So they're saying that having them already in these prisons, you're already going to be safe and secure. And they're set up like that. That's pretty much blast proof. And that's a lot of the rules and regulations for extraction rooms. You have to, meet certain standards. So these jail rooms are basically perfect for something like that. So
you can make those extremely sterile, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can turn that whole thing into like industrial access lab from that Batman movie and just
it's perfect. I don't remember what country it was, but there's a country in Europe that's actually they're having to close more prisons because they don't have enough people to house in them.
Yeah.
I wish we could have that problem here instead of being over. Like New Orleans is over capacity. That's an hour and a half from where 2 hours, I think, from where we live.
That's big business, right? Like those are all, you get a lot of money for having those beds filled, and they don't want to take away. That's another industry that's probably lobbying really hard, being like, don't legalize it because then we'll lose money.
Exactly. And but we're the ones paying for it though.
Cool. The best business model ever. Shit.
Like it's self-propagating. Why would they want to change it?
Yeah, eventually whoever's shitty idea that was is going to die and get replaced, and then that'll happen enough times that eventually things will be okay. Hopefully.
We're close. We really are, man. It's at a tipping point. It's already reached it. There's no going back.
Yeah, the internet has definitely, I think, helped that by being able to get this information to people, and people that might have believed once that, well, I'm not going to smoke weed, that it'll kill me, so they get this other information. They're like, holy crap, we've been lied to.
You can watch grandma smoke weed on YouTube, man. I mean, come on.
You see that? That is the best.
I'm really there's so many people that I never expected, if not outright support weed. It's a case-by-case basis. My mother is an 11-year breast cancer survivor, and she has never, ever partaken. She never will, and very upstanding, righteous, moral person. But during the height of her chemo, when she was so sick and so weak, even she had to admit, if I thought it would help, I would do it.
Yeah.
So
it definitely might have, but...
Yeah. But it was so ingrained in people to believe that, hey, it's sad.
There was that last step of, even something that may or may have helped her would not allow herself to do this.
Right. It is psychological though. And there was a study, I forget where it came out of, but they were looking at whether or not it's actually cannabis, like it's something in the flower or the cannabinoids that make you feel like paranoid and anxious. And after they looked at it, they figured out that it really wasn't. And it's more the setting that you're in. And if you feel like you're doing something wrong, like it's going to amplify those effects. So if you're in a state where you're not doing anything wrong, you have a much better experience than if you're somewhere looking over your shoulder, feeling like a criminal. So it is really profound, like the effect that it can have psychologically with all of these posters that we were looking at earlier. Yeah. People think that that's going to happen, then it might happen. I mean, it's not going to happen to that extent, but they're not going to be happy about it.
It's like the people who first experimented with edibles, like people that have never had any experience with marijuana, have no idea what they're getting into. And it's, no harm on them. They don't know, but they think it's terrible because they have a bad trip. because they're in a new environment. They've been fed all the propaganda for years of how bad it is, and it's a new experience. New things are always a little scary, and in fact, with how cannabinoids operate in your body, it's going to amplify, like you said.
Well, and that's what a lot of people don't know. When you eat it, THC gets converted by your liver into 11-hydroxy-THC, which, like, milligram per milligram compared to THC, it's much more potent, and it's a different molecule at that point. So when you get your brain like that, it gives you that body high, and if you get too much of it, yeah, it'll definitely. It's not going to kill you or anything, but you might get dizzy and need to go lay down for a few, for sure. People don't understand that. It's like a completely different molecule. Your liver is turning it into this other thing that has this other set of effects.
It goes back to the misinformation. If people were informed and were able to understand that, I mean, it would. That's it. It's
well, nobody knew that until recently. Like, you couldn't do studies like that because it was, unless you were applying for your Schedule 1 license to prove negative shit about weed, like, they weren't going to give it to you.
No.
So it's cool that we can do stuff like that in these states and actually push the cannabis science further.
It's interesting. It's a good time to be alive and watch that.
Yeah. It's definitely cool. Ocean Grown Extracts is the group here. They have a 77,000 square foot facility that they might possibly be moving into. So that'll be kind of interesting. And I think that sets a good precedent. Like, what else are you going to do with these gross old super secure buildings? Like, you might as well.
Urban recycling.
Make use of the tax dollars that you spent to build them.
Yeah, because they're not going to knock them down. Like, that shit's going to be there till we need them for zombie apocalypse time or something like that.
And then we're just going to be fighting each other in our own castles.
In our own jails, castles that were jails at one time. That's very apropos.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Well, cool. It was awesome having you guys. We should definitely try and get some of the Starship crew on the show. I think that would be fun once you guys are more up and running.
Heck yeah, we would love to get that going, man.
Like I said, as more characters are going to be introduced, of course, we can't. We'd be sort of in the spoiler realm at the point. Many more characters are coming in.
Yeah, we would love to do more with you as well. I think it'd be fun, and this has been great. It's been a great time.
And if you need a voice for any characters, I'm silly. I can do that.
Well. I think you'd be a good Q. Yeah, you sound like a good Q.
Yeah,
I try. All right. Well, cool. We'll direct everyone to starship420.com if they want to check out the comics, and of course, check them out on Facebook and the Twitters. Do you guys on Instagram? You do the
I will be getting one soon. There will be one soon, but that'll be for the next one.
Well, to what you're doing as far as comics and visuals.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah, you guys have a great evening. Everyone else, hotboxpodcast.com. Again,
bye, guys.
On play and everything, and we'll catch you all next week. Have a great night.